garden, and the old monk sitting there. No garden, no monk. All gone. For what? All the more reason why this strange, fantastic agitation over things that don't mean anything is a total waste of time. There are only certain things that man can do. He can give happiness and bring smiles to other people if he can. These are nice, pleasant ways to live. He can write good poems. He can paint a picture. He can sing a song. He can make a garden. He can tell stories to his grandchildren. He can bring up his family as well as he can. He can add his prayers to those at the altar of the temple. Give a few coins to rebuild the temple when this one is gone, and go to sleep in the little cemetery behind. These things are very simple. If we'll let them be simple, we can have a quiet, rather childlike existence. We can enjoy things. We can read good books. We can have friends. We will have no envious neighbors. And if something comes along and these things are no longer possible, we'll adjust to what does come without fear, without anxiety, without misgiving, because we live in a universal law. The law works. There's no need to worry about these things, because anything that is worth worrying about belongs to a plan so lawful that no worry is necessary. All these are attitudes of fears and hatreds and all this. They're simply moods of our own ignorance, habits that we have allowed to take hold of us, habits by which we hurt and injure and destroy ourselves, habits by which we waste energy which could be used to paint a beautiful picture, habits that shorten life and burden us with sickness, habits that make us lonely old ages, because those around us do not want to endure these difficulties any longer. Everything is actually very simple until we make it complicated. So for people who are under tension and stress and things of that nature, they may as well face it. They're going to be under stress until they relax, until they are able to see through all of these weird patterns which are the cause of their stress. This great demand for things that we can't afford, keeping up with this and trying to get that. This desperate desire for something only to awaken after we have it and find that it's not very desirable after all, and we have to desire something else. All experiences we should learn. Experiences that should tell us that there is no place in a good life for bad thoughts. And thoughts either are creative and constructive and optimistic and friendly and charitable, or else they're no good. Nature has ways of making us pay for our mistakes. And from the beginning of recorded history, nature has penalized the destructive thinker. We suspect this. But like the alcoholic, we do not know how to break the habit. We find we have learned to depend so much upon false thinking and feeling to give reason for life, that we forget the fact that these things have only give reason for a bad life. They have never really justified a good life. Now, when we try to break the alcohol habit, by Alcoholics Anonymous or something of that time, we have a little fight on our hands. And I talked to an alcoholic not long ago who made it. And he said, well, it was something like this. I lost my job. I lost my home. I lost my car. I lost all my friends. I lost the respect of my children. I lost my job. I was headed for Skid Row. There was nothing more to lose. And I suddenly said to myself, how much more stupid can you get? How much more do you want to try to lose? when all that is necessary is to decide quietly in yourself that you've lost enough and that you are not going to allow a bottle to destroy you. And when I decided, I quit. There was no more problem. But he said I had to reach a point where there was nothing more I could lose. I had to reach an absolute desperation. And then I discovered that I could have quit in the first place if I wanted to. But I never wanted to as long as I could drink and still have enough to get by on. But this is the same thing that happens to a great many other people. While we can hold a home together or have the partial respect of our friends, we don't want to change our ways. We want to keep right on the lines of least resistance. So in the bad disposition, or the energy-destroying forces of wrong attitude, wrong thought and emotion, we're in the same problem. We usually have to wait and we have a mental breakdown or a complete nervous breakdown, or until we completely destroy our homes or lose our business or get into a hopeless mess before we decide in ourselves that it's time to do something different. And very often then we are so befuddled that we only blame other people and go on until it is hopeless. But at any moment we can change these patterns. And I cannot too strongly recommend that every individual who has a destructive habit pattern, which is using up energy, should say to himself, energy is much more than money in the bank. Energy is not only life, but it is the denominator of the kind of life that I'm going to live. If I abuse energy, I'm going to live, if I live at all, miserably. I'm going to have less and less joy, less and less production, less and less of everything valuable to the degree that I allow wrong intensities to govern me. They won't kill me like a bullet. They will cause a slow death, a death in which everything that is good dies first. And perhaps the individual lingers on, friendless and alone, because they have alienated everyone. The habit must be broken. And Western man is wrong in assuming that these habits are right. Man is wrong in assuming that he must be selfish. He is wrong in assuming that he has the right to make other people miserable. He is wrong in assuming that he must avenge himself for all real or imaginary injuries. He has finally to come to the simple realization that every destructive attitude that he holds is as poison to him as deadly nightshade, and that it will ultimately destroy his life and his happiness. If he will finally straighten these things out, he will see how much more energy he has. Tests have shown that it takes several times the energy to scowl that it takes to smile. And have you noticed that most sleeping people smile? Our natural tendency is to smile. The contented baby smiles. Old people, in the quiet evening of life, have a kind of smile on their faces. Many, many times the dead smile. Smiling seems to be quite natural. And it takes a lot of energy to get a grumpy look. You really have to cultivate it. And you don't like the looks of it when you do, when you frighten children. Actually, the simple, childlike quality of expecting good, looking for good, believing in good, and returning good for any